afternoon, everybody. My name is Donna Feazell, and I'm your host of Donna's Edge Talk Show. Thank you so much for watching every day, Monday through Friday from 1 to 3 p.m. Central. As I get right home with you in the afternoon. You can find us on television, channel 182 on Charter Communications, Abundant Television, found on Roku, Apple TV, and Amazon Fire, and locally, channel 182. But you can also find us on the radio station. It's icradio.media. And our podcast, don't forget that. And that's the newscasters.com. Definitely appreciate you listening to us. Oh, by the way, I know you've had ideas for shows, and you guys seem to really be into sports and into gardening. So a lot of you don't want any more. You want to take a little bit of a vacation on politics. I totally get it. I want to take a vacation on politics too. So, well, this is going to be a happy because you love sports with AP Steadham. AP, thank you for being on the show with us today.
Hey, Donna, so glad to be here. Thank you for having me on the show. Really appreciate it.
Oh, no, we appreciate you. So a lot of things are happening. So basketball is going to be winding up pretty soon. But what's going on in the world of basketball right now?
Yeah, basketball, Donna. As far as winding up, the women played this past weekend for the SEC championship, and it ended up being South Carolina, undefeated this season. But they had a few close calls, especially against Tennessee. Great ball game. The Tennessee Volunteers, the Lady Vols, were down by 23 points, Donna. Came all the way back to go ahead. And they were winning by 2 points with, I think, 1.1 seconds. And they inbounded the ball from half court to the top of the key to a player that from South Carolina rarely takes the three-pointer. She banked it straight ahead, Donna, and beat Tennessee by 1 point. It was a crushing defeat. But it was a great, valiant effort by Tennessee. But South Carolina advanced, and they ended up beating LSU in the championship game over the weekend. So South Carolina, 8 of the last 10 years, Donna, they've been the tournament champion, South Carolina. So Dawn Staley, she's creating a dynasty over there in Columbia, and they're the top team in the country, favorite to win the NCAA title, which will be held in Cleveland. And LSU will be in the tournament there around 8 or 9 in the country. And we'll probably have around, I'd say 6 to 7 teams in the tournament on the women's side: Alabama, Auburn, Tennessee, maybe Vanderbilt, some other team. Ole Miss will be in there as well. So it'll be a good representation for the league overall. But South Carolina prevailed. They had a couple tight ball games, and they won the championship on the women's side. And on the men's side, down to get it started this week in Nashville, Alabama and Auburn, Tennessee, Kentucky, they have the double bye, meaning they won't play until Friday. Some teams will have a game on Wednesday and then have to play a team on Thursday. But Alabama, Auburn, Kentucky, Tennessee all have byes. Tennessee's number 1, Auburn's number 4, Alabama's number 3, Kentucky's number 2. So it should be a good tournament. But the state of Alabama should have both of those teams on the men's side and the women's side in the NCAA tournament. So that's big news.
It's huge news because starting out the program this season, it's almost been turned upside down is the way we thought it was going to be. And I always find that fun. It's always interesting.
Yeah, Don. You take a team like South Carolina. Think about this, Don. They were projected for being 14th. The last team in the league on the men's side, and they ended up with 25 wins, and they're going to make the tournament. So, tremendous job by their coach. So he's turned that program around, projected for 14th in the league. I think that's one of the best stories in America, actually, Donna. Projected to be the last in a league like the SEC, and you're right in the thick of it. Had a chance to be among the top 4. Didn't make it there, but had the chance to be in the tournament now, and weren't even projected to be going anywhere to any tournament. And now they're going to be in the NCAA tournament, the big dance.
Yeah, I think it's absolutely amazing. Let's talk about coaches for a few minutes because, that's very noteworthy. And, a lot of coaches have really turned things around along with the players. It's all a team.
Yeah.
But who are you watching?
Lamont Paris, the coach of South Carolina, he's definitely a National Coach of the Year candidate, in my opinion, because when you're projected to be on the bottom and here you are making the NCAA tournament with 25 victories, having an excellent season. So South Carolina people are so happy with their basketball programs. The women, number 1, The men are going to be in the NCAA tournament, 25 victories, huge turnaround. And so he's the coach in my mind that should be the national coach of the year for that tournament, all the wins and reaching the NCAA tournament when you're projected to be the 14th in the league, at the very, very bottom. So, watching him. And then, Kentucky's gotten better over the course of the season with a couple of freshmen. I think their freshman, Reed Shepherd, I think he might be the national college basketball freshman of the year. Might be the freshman of the year, Donna. So they've had some good play from the younger people. And so they advanced to number 2 in the conference. They had a rough start, but they came on and got better as the season progressed. And the fact that Alabama and Auburn, the men and the women, should all 4 of them be in the tournament, I think that's pretty impressive. I'm not sure how many times that has happened. I have to look that up, Donna. But that's great for Alabama, the state of Alabama, and the basketball program. Bruce Pearl, Nate Oates, and on the women's side as well. So that's really positive for the state, because in the wintertime, Donna, the people of Alabama, they'll support the basketball. People always say it's a football state, but look, if they have good basketball teams, they're going to sell out, Donna. They like winning. They like to beat Tennessee and Kentucky in basketball, and so they're going to turn out for those rival games. And then if they're winning, they'll be at all of them.
Yeah, something I think that applies even if it were a ping pong match.
Exactly.
Alabama,
exactly.
Yeah,
if they can.
Pretty amazing.
Yeah, I think so, Don. I think you're right in that assessment. Absolutely.
Let's talk a little bit ahead. I know we've had a lot of folks who have been sending in a lot of messages. It used to be only about football. Now people watching you on the program want to know more about, about basketball and as it's happening. So where do you think people are, fast forwarding, where do you think people are heading in basketball next season? What do you see happening?
Yeah, well, just to backtrack for a second, just let people know that the Final Four this year, Donna, will be in Phoenix or Glendale, Arizona, which is right there outside of Phoenix. And then the women's will be in Cleveland, Ohio. So if they have a notion to make some plans for their favorite SEC team, or that maybe they like basketball, you can head to the West or head up north for the women's as well. But the basketball, Donna, on the men's side and the women too, they like to play in these big arenas now for the championships. It's been a trend for, I don't know, maybe 10 years, maybe even longer. So I think next year the men is in maybe San Antonio, another big arena. But Don, the basketball from year to year, it could revert. I mean, South Carolina women, for example, had a whole new starting lineup, had the changeover and had some transfers come in. So in basketball, Don, you could have a completely different new team. You could end up with anywhere from 5 to 10 new people on your team. So it's hard to project in the basketball. Football is getting to be that way, Don, as well. Big turnover in football. But basketball, it's very difficult. Like we mentioned South Carolina, who had a big turnaround. So next year, Donna, I don't think there's anybody you can ask about next year because they do not know who's going to be on the team. But, you have the good coaches, Donna, and they attract and acquire talent. So you can count on certain coaches to have good basketball programs. Kentucky in the men's side, and, Auburn with Bruce Pearl. Alabama seems to be trending, having a good team every year in contention. Rick Barnes at Tennessee. Florida has a good young coach. He seems to be doing well, and they'll be in the tournament probably. And on the women's side, Dawn Staley's going to have an excellent roster. Alabama's playing much better now on the women's side. Auburn's building their program with their coach. Tennessee usually has a good women's program, of course. So there's some generalities we can make about the future in the basketball team because of the coaches, Donna. Not because of the players, because we have no idea on the final roster with basketball.
Oh, absolutely. Mickey had a good question. And this was about, the turnover in football. He said, are you seeing that trend in basketball? Players are quitting like crazy and going to other teams all the time, more than ever.
Yeah. Oh, yes. Yeah. That's the prevailing movement right now, Donna. People are transferring yearly to different schools. they may transfer to a rival, Donna. Who would ever thought somebody playing for Auburn going to transfer to Alabama, or somebody playing for Alabama going to transfer to Auburn, or somebody playing for Alabama will transfer to Tennessee, or Tennessee player transfer to Kentucky in football, basketball, all these different sports. That availability has made it wild because it's hard to project who will have the good teams until we come to a couple days before the season starts. So say, okay, everybody has stopped moving. We can kind of figure out now and make a prediction and projection of who might be in contention for the titles.
But do you think that takes something away from the rival? Because now Phil and I will always be rivals. I'm Auburn, he's Alabama. That's always going to be. But do you think that's, I mean, it's kind of fun as long as you don't get too crazy about it, but it's kind of fun to have rivals in the state.
Yeah, I think to some degree, Donna, it does take away because years in the past, teams playing, you're at the University of Georgia, maybe you're from Atlanta. It meant something for you to wear that jersey playing for the University of Georgia. But now you're getting players from 50 states and beyond, other countries as well. And we welcome talent from all over the world. That's America. We welcome talent in this country. But I think it does to some degree when you're watching somebody play for Georgia, next thing they're playing for Alabama or vice versa. It's, gee whiz, I thought he was such a great player at that certain school. Now he's playing at the rival. So it's money. And the answer is always money, Donna, right? Why did they transfer? Most of the time it's going to be, in this day and age, money, unless it's for an opportunity. If you're on the bench, I'll give you an example. The quarterback that transferred to Kentucky, Brock Vandegrift, excellent talent, but Carson Beck is the returning starter, and he's been sitting for 2 or 3 years. He wants to get an opportunity. So he had to make a move. So he transferred to Kentucky.
Crazy. I mean, it's just crazy. We're going to have to go into a break in just a few seconds, but I wanted to ask you about, AP and Kelly as we see it. What happened on last week's show?
Yeah, we had AJ Spur. He covers Alabama for the USA Today. Had AJ on, and we talked about Coach Saban's retirement and some of the reasons, and Alabama's football team the coming year. And then we had Mark Weiser. Mark covers the University of Georgia for the Athens Banner Herald. So that was an interesting conversation as well.
I wanted to bring up Saban because someone did, we have these listeners who have been bringing it up for quite a few years. He was going to be retiring, leaving, whatever, Alabama, and it actually finally happened. But one question was brought by Wes, and so he wants to, actually, he said he has heard a rumor that Saban is actually going to be doing something else within the football league. What are you hearing?
Yeah, I mean, Nick Saban, he has an office in the stadium, so he'll probably be there, I would say, a number of years until he wants to opt out. But the current coaches, they'll ask him for advice, and he'll gladly share his thoughts. And then also he's going to be on TV as a pregame analyst. They have those shows a couple hours before the games start on Saturday, and he'll be among those groups giving his opinion about games all over the country.
I think he needs to. I think that'll be
Yeah, it'll be fun for him, I think. Yeah, sure will.
I think that'll be amazing. Let's go ahead and cut into a commercial break. We'll be right back let's go to a commercial break. We'll be right back in just a few minutes.
Twin City Used Car Sales has been serving drivers in the Northeast Alabama area for years with a quality selection of late model used cars, SUVs, and pickup trucks. On top of our extensive selection and competitive prices, we offer professional auto financing services for used car buyers of all credit levels. Whether you've just begun your search or you're ready to secure your next vehicle, at Twin City Used Car Sales, you will drive away with the vehicle of your dreams. The sales and finance staff at Twin City Used Car Sales looks forward to serving you, and you can apply for financing online before your visit to our used dealership in Gadsden, Alabama. Check us out on the web at twincityusedcars.com or go by our location at 901 First Avenue, Gadsden, Alabama. We sincerely look forward to serving you. The Hatter Cafe and Country Inn is nestled in the northeast corner of Alabama the Beautiful in the delightful town of Mentone. We're located on top of scenic Lookout Mountain near Little River and DeSoto State Park and located only 5 minutes from shopping and restaurants. There is also a nearby community walking path and golf course. We welcome everyone through the doors and we are committed to outstanding service for all guests. At the Hatter Cafe and Country Inn, we invite people from all walks of life to come and get away from it all, enjoy the open spaces, treetop views, fresh, clean air, and experience Southern hospitality at its finest. We look forward to hosting you. To reserve a special event, or if you would love a special getaway at the Country Inn, you can call us at 256-634-2018.
Are you ready?
We all wonder what tomorrow will bring, but the future lays itself at the feet of the prepared and surrenders to the will of the persistent. It's not easy, but today shapes you so you can shape tomorrow. With Northeast Alabama Community College, when the future asks if you're ready, you can answer
yes.
Begin your future at Northeast Alabama Community College.
The only place I buy my beef is Lone Tree Ranch in Collinsville, Alabama. Their cattle is born and raised on their ranch, grass and grain fed, and you can feel confident when you serve your family and friends because their beef is all natural and no antibiotics or hormones are added. You can buy whole beef or perhaps go in with family or friends and buy half. Their customer service is number one as they take care of the delivery to their local processor and can deliver to your home for a small added fee. They also offer herd replacement heifers. I always call Lone Tree Ranch in Collinsville, Alabama for my beef specialty recipes and cookouts, and you can too. Food shortages are increasing, so buy local by calling 256-523-6462. That's 256-523-6462.
Okay, we're back. My name is Donna, and I'm your host of Donna's Edge Talk Show. Thank you so much for watching every day, Monday through Friday, from 1 to 3 p.m. Central. As I get to ride home with you in the afternoon, it's always a fun ride. I always look forward to every single day I get to be with you. You can find us on television, channel 182 on Charter Communications and Abundant Television, found on Roku, Apple TV, and Amazon Fire. Don't forget the podcast at thenewscasters.com. That's always fun, too. And our radio station, where AP and Kelly, as we see it, you can find them there every Friday at 4 p.m. Now, that's Central Time. A few of you have sent messages. They weren't on this time. Then I found out you're on Eastern Time or you're on Pacific Time. So that is 4 o'clock, and that is Central Time. So keep that in mind as well. Okay, AP is with us right now, and so we were talking about AP and Kelly as we see it. Who's going to be on your show this coming week? Do you have that scheduled yet?
No, we don't, but we have some, I think, potential good guests now. We're going to talk some basketball because it's important this time of year. So we're trying to get some of the SEC people to come on the show this week. We're in the process of scheduling them, but we're definitely going to be talking some basketball because the SEC tournament is held in Nashville, Donna, and that's usually every year they schedule that tournament in Nashville, and it works out really well for the Kentucky people, Donna. They just overtake the city. It's all in blue because they have the best basketball fans normally. Of course, Tennessee has a good team. Tennessee is the top of the league right now, so maybe we'll see another Tennessee-Kentucky matchup in the final possibly, but Tennessee was beaten in Knoxville by Kentucky this weekend. That was an upset. Even though Dalton Connect had 40 points for Tennessee. That's 40 points, I said that night. Yeah, that's a lot of points he scored, but he couldn't score enough to beat Kentucky. So we're going to concentrate on some basketball this week. We always talk football, though, down on the show because they started the spring practices. Some of them started last week, but they're on spring break. But we'll be talking quite a bit of basketball probably. I know that Kentucky has a team with a couple outstanding freshmen came along and really changed their fortunes to reach the number 2 in the conference. So, but yeah, we love being on IC Radio every Friday, 4 p.m. Central. Excuse me, Donna.
It's that time of the year. Paul is already getting out there in the air.
Yes. But
Well, let's talk a little bit about football. I mean, we can't get football out of our brains, and because of I don't know, it's almost you can't predict anything now because players are still going to be moving from team to team, and that just,
Connie,
I don't know, it just kind of takes away some of the effectiveness to me. It takes away some of the
Yeah.
fun.
Yeah, Donna, you're exactly right. I mean, there's another transition period, transfer portal window. I think it's 15 days or so, around April, May. I think it's in that time frame. So we will not know these rosters. I mean, even they'll be having some players come in the summertime. So I think most of the coaches have moved, Donna. They've made the changes to the different programs, but the players, and Donna, we're going to be watching with a keen eye for the quarterbacks, Donna, who will remain at the same school, because the quarterbacks, they're going to be competing in the spring, and I know they're going to have a serious discussion with the head coach. Am I going to get a chance, or am I in contention to play as a quarterback? Because we all know that position, Donna, you do not substitute as frequently as any other position on the field. Normally, when the quarterback wins the starting position, they're playing 95% of the plays during the season. So the quarterbacks must make a hard decision.
Mm-hmm.
Do I want to stay around with this program, or do I want to try to see if I can reach out to a team that's in dire need of a quarterback? You're still going to have some competition down when you move to these other schools, but you're trying to increase your chances. So as you said, people are understanding that transfer portal can change a team overnight. Specifically, I mean, you get a high-flying receiver that was not being utilized at another school. I mean, Alabama had a transfer from Ohio State, Jameson Williams. He ended up getting 1,500 yards at Alabama. He was barely getting any touches at Ohio State. And that was a huge reason for Alabama's success that year. So one player can make a significant difference in the outcome of games in football, even in football.
Well, let me ask you another question. This is a possibility, I think, and Donna's it. So, because of the change, and people can change teams at just a last minute notice, do you think that's going to change the number of positions available? You know, like one or two quarterbacks. Now, do you think teams will want to carry more quarterbacks just because of that situation? You can be left high and dry
Donna,
without a quarterback.
Right. Donna, coaches always love to have, I would say most coaches, a minimum of three down to quarterbacks. Some like four. I mean, they feel more confident with four because one play, you can be injured. And the quarterback's getting hit, and these players are so big, so fast, so powerful that quarterbacks have a tendency to get hurt because there's blind sides when you're playing the position down. You're throwing the ball, you're looking one way, the pressure and the force is coming from another direction, and they can get hurt. So I would say minimum. Most coaches probably want four, but three, you must have three. You must have three because someone can get hurt in preseason, Donna, and then you're left with two. So that's why four is probably the preferential number.
Well, do you see this affecting the importance of, keeping the quarterback? Could more importance be put on another player other than the quarterback because of what we're transitioning to right now?
Right. I think another important position, Donna, you don't hear about it as much, obviously, is the center position, Donna, because you have to snap the ball every play to the quarterback or the running back if they have that different formation. But we saw, for instance, Alabama, the center had some trouble snapping the ball, and it made a big difference in the outcome, I believe, of the game. So, and Alabama was not able to substitute somebody else at the center position. So I think, like I say, you don't hear about this position very often, but I would feel very uncomfortable if I didn't have two centers on the team. Because maybe the center loses his helmet during the game. Somebody has to jump in there immediately because you have to come off the field, Don, if your helmet comes off. So I'm looking for have two centers minimum that I feel very confident about their playing ability and they can snap the ball to the quarterback because of that shotgun, Donna. that's a little bit of a distance. It's not like you just the quarterback's under center and it's a short distance. This is 5, 6, 7 yards, and you have to snap the ball. So the center position, you don't hear about it, but it's very important, Don. It starts the play. It's every possession. Your center is snapping the ball to someone.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, the importance of other positions have always been important, but I'm just seeing a shift into the importance of positions now. Of course, we always mentioned the kicker. You and I have been talking about that for years.
Oh yeah, the kicker. Yeah, Don. We always mention that kick. Yeah, you need an extra kicker. Believe it or not, things happen to kickers. They get hurt once in a while. So yeah, the center, definitely 2 centers, definitely 2 kickers, because you have to make extra points. You have to make the shorter field goals. Yeah, you wanted an extra kicker to be available.
I always love football and I always love basketball, but I wanted to ask you another question, because now that it's come down to money and actually the players earning money, do you feel like it's going to be run a bit more like a big business than it was about the game? Or are we taking some of the fun away from the game?
Right. The change, Donna, is going to be the roster management. Okay, everyone has what's called the collective. It's a separate organization related to the school, but not run by the school. And that manages the money that the players are receiving through the name, image, and likeness opportunity. So when a running back approaches you and said, I need X amount of dollars, now you have to consider, if I pay this running back a certain amount of money, am I going to miss out on having 2 offensive linemen? Would I rather spend the money on 2 offensive linemen? So yes, there's a pro element to college football. I mean, it's definitely, you're managing the money, which means that you have to manage who receives the money. Do I want to pay for a wide receiver twice the amount that we have available, losing out on maybe a defensive end? I have to consider that. That's roster management. So that's a difficult, tough evaluation that must be made. You cannot opt out of the decision. And so your coach, your recruiting people, they must give firm answers. All right, coach, I think if we pay this running back, it's worth it. And we're going to lose out on maybe a left guard, but I think it's worth it to have this particular running back or wide receiver. And maybe they might come to you and say, coach, we're going to let this running back transfer. We have X amount of dollars. We want to get a left guard and a defensive tackle using that same money that we would maybe give it to one player. We want to, give that money to the 2 players instead. So yeah, there's definitely money is the crux of the decisions now.
Yeah, I'm just seeing it taking, football's always going to be fun, but I just see it taking some of the dynamics away. Absolutely. We're going to have to follow the end of the day. What would you like to say before we leave, AP?
Hey, yeah, tell all the SEC people to enjoy the basketball this week, the men's basketball. They'll have the selection Sunday coming up, and you're going to find out where your team will be headed for the NCAA tournament, as well as the women. So there'll be good representation in the men's side, 6 or 7 teams, women's side, 6 or 7 teams. So we're going to have a lot of fun watching the SEC teams. Hopefully we get at least 1 team to each final, 1 in Cleveland for the women, 1 in Phoenix, Glendale, Arizona for the men.
Absolutely. AP, thank you so much for being on the show. AP and Kelly, as we see it, coming on at 4, football Friday at 4 p.m. Central Time. Thanks, AP. And thank you guys so much for watching. We definitely appreciate it. Have a wonderful, wonderful day.